While it's certainly possible to be too apologetic to a codependent extent, and many have a hard time bearing the shame of remorse, a unilateral no apology rule will come back to bite you in the end, one way or the other. Apologies are good and necessary some of the time. If you can't handle that, grow up or gain a conscience. But don't be too sensitive. Or you're weak and will be exploited. Some amount of disagreeability is a good thing too. But if you're disagreeable to the extreme, who will want to be your friend? Who will suffer you? Besides yourself. Live only to defy, whether overtly or passive-aggressively, and you only sabotage yourself in the end, and you'll want to die. It's a life-affirming thing to give someone an apology when you really owe it to them. If you don't give someone an apology when you wrong them, you either leave them with resentment or you leave them to internalize the blame. As if they somehow provoked or elicited your mistreatment. That's a terrible thing to let someone go through. If you had it in your power to apologize, even if you don't do anything else to make it up to them, you owe them an apology, or you leave them to suffer. Apologies are so important to God as well. Not just between us and Him, but for us to apologize to each other. It's more important than offering a sacrifice to God. We should apologize immediately, as soon as possible, if we remember we've wronged someone and owe them an apology. To do otherwise is a grievous sin, and such God would not even receive your sacrifices directly to Him. When you leave such a great thing, such a weighty matter, unaddressed. It makes God sick. He doesn't want anything from you but that, even if that's all you have to give. Are you so full of pride you can't even apologize? Or are you so full of fear that you can't stand the thought of being wrong and culpable? Is it really such a scary thing to admit you're wrong? You're not perfect. And mean it. To give someone the validation they deserve. And to humble yourself. What's so wrong about being humble? Why do you hate humility? What really is the risk in seeing yourself in a self-deprecating light in relation to another that you've wronged? Why is it so hard for so many to forgive themselves? Maybe that's the other part of the matter. Maybe if they received forgiveness from others, they would then have to forgive themselves. They've been brainwashed to think they're unforgivable, rotten to the core. When that's shoved down your throat from the earliest formative years, you come at life from a state of absence rather than presence. It becomes your identity, it's all you know. To try and be anything else feels off, delusional, sets you up for further disappointment if your hope is wrong. If you think it's a sin to love or to exist, that you should have died already or never been born, and to be given love only reminds you how empty you feel. People would often rather just camp on that indefinitely and say, not that they're a wretch or a sinner and ask for forgiveness, but in a sick, demented, twisted, perverse, revelry sort of grandiose manner, they embrace wickedness as if they owe it to themselves not to let themselves be hurt. And they need the power of evil, a do as thou wilt sort of approach to life, as if it would be evil toward themselves not to be evil. God help them. They're trapped in a convoluted, complex series of lies. They've invented a false self, an imaginary friend that is God-like, but evil. Powerful, but evil and sadistic. And maybe sometimes they realize that the whole world isn't full of just evil people, and they can't justify that stance. They might find one person they truly love, and they promise themselves they'd never hurt that person. But if you do, overall, cultivate this evil stance toward most people, eventually it bleeds out to those you love as well. You can't be a part-time good person and an evil wretch devotedly toward everyone else and never have that make an impact negatively on your loved ones. It's a split, fetishized idealization of both good and evil. A divided house cannot stand. Either let the tree's fruit be good or evil, Jesus said. Out of the heart, the mouth speaks good or evil things. How can a tree be evil and produce good fruit? This is hyperbole. I know that there are exceptions, but this is an emphatic point that needs to be understood. Come, ye children, hearken unto me. I will teach you the law of the Lord, the fear of the Lord, the teachings. What man among you desires life and loves many days? Seek peace and pursue it. And do good. Depart from evil. And cleave to what is good. Amen. Look to God. He will give you the grace to do what is right and true if you seek it with all your heart. Hunger and thirst after righteousness, and you shall be filled, Jesus said. You can take that to the bank. You will have what you desire in that area if you really desire it. And if you don't yet, but you want it, start there. Pray that your desires will come into alignment with God's. Pray that all of you, all of your shadows, will see the light of Christ. And I believe you will have it in time.